everyone, and welcome to YarnGasm. I'm Kristen, and this is episode 267. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back, and if you're a new viewer, welcome to the podcast. This is a podcast about mostly knitting, sewing, and pretty much making all the things in Brooklyn, New York, where I'm from and I live, with my husband Dennis and our adorable cat Bella. And as always, I'm so happy that you're taking some time out of your day to chat about those things with me. And as far as some administrati goes, you can follow me pretty much anywhere on the web as Voolenvine. I am most active on Instagram. You can follow me on Ravelry. And show notes for this episode can be found over at www.yarngasmpodcast.com, where I post links to everything that I chat about in this episode and previous episodes. So hop on over there if you have a query about anything that I've chatted about in this episode, or if I didn't cover it there, you can always hop on over to the YarnGasm Ravelry group, which is an amazing place to hang out, to chat about all things YarnGasm, share your whips, your FOs, join in knit-alongs, and the place to be if you want to enter into any of our giveaways. So definitely check out there. And yeah, again, if you have a question about the podcast, it's probably the best place to get a quick answer, because a lot of people who, a lot of members in that group, thank you so much, by the way, when I am not able to answer in a timely manner, I find a lot of members in that group chime in and help out other members in the group when they have a question about a project or a knit along or what have you. So anyway, you guys are amazing, so thank you so much. And yeah, definitely check it out if you are new to the podcast. So anyway, I think that is it for administrative bits. I have a hopefully entertaining episode for you guys this week. Lots of FOs. Well, when I say lots, I basically mean 2 FOs to chat about with you. And I have a new work in progress, I have some weaving to talk about, and some stash acquisitions. So before I get into what I've been making this week, I'm just going to quickly announce some giveaway winners. Last week I announced that my good friend Ellie, who is skein deer pretty much everywhere on the web, has just released a really amazing sock collection. So she designed 6 sock patterns and put them all into a collection, and I apologize if I butcher this name because I'm not Norwegian and I'm notorious for butchering all things not my language. So she just released the Sock Lister sock collection, and it's a pattern book that you can purchase and download via Ravelry. So I will put a link in the show notes, so do check it out, and I will put all this information in the down bar below. So I basically opened a thread in the YarnGasm Ravelry group. Again, if you'd like to join in any of our knit-alongs, that's the place to do it. And I prompted participants to let us know, like, if there was somebody special in your life that you would like to name a pattern design after. And because Ellie had named a couple of the patterns after her grandmother because they just held a special memory for her, and she decided to honor them by naming some of the patterns after them, which I thought was really, really sweet. So I was curious to know what you, if there was anyone in your family or friend or someone close that you would consider naming a pattern design after. So there were so many wonderful and even really touching entries in that thread. And so I can only choose one. So I used random.org, and the winner of the sock collection pattern is number 111, Valerie Kemp, MP, 2002. I hope I pronounced that correctly. But yes, congrats. And I will get in touch with Ellie and have her send you a copy of the collection. So I hope you enjoy those. And thank you so much again to Ellie for the wonderful giveaway prize, as always. She's just super generous when it comes to those, so thank you so much. And in case you're wondering about me, like if I were to design a pattern, who would I name it after? I actually have designed a pattern in the past after my grandmother, Hilda. I did design a hat pattern. It is available, like, not that I'm trying to promote it or anything, but it is available on Ravelry to purchase and download if you are so inclined. But I did name it after her. And yeah, so I think in the future, if I were to name another pattern of my own design after somebody special to me, it would probably be my great-grandmother, who was always knitting. I would visit her when I was little. I remember going there when I was like 6 years old, and maybe a couple times after. Unfortunately, she is no longer with us. She died when I was very young, but she lived to be, I believe, 94 years old. But whenever I would visit her in Obernheim, Germany, she would always be sitting in the corner knitting on a pair of socks. And I think I've shared those socks with you on the podcast. I salvaged some of them, and they're very special to me. And while she did not teach me how to knit, I just have this really fond memory of her sitting in the corner quietly knitting away on socks. And yeah, so I definitely would love to knit. I would definitely love to design a pattern and name it after her at some point, because yeah, I feel like the knitting gene skipped a couple generations and landed with me. So go figure. I don't know how that works, but anyway, yeah, I am currently the only knitter in my family right now, so yeah. But anyway, I thought I would share that little tidbit with you. But again, thank you so much to everybody who participated in that thread. It was really fun to read through all of your responses. So all right, first thing off my needles is a pair of socks to kick off the FO segment. Pun totally unintended. I finished my Dragon Tear socks, and this is knit out of my own hand-dyed yarn, Voolenvine yarns, in my Dragon Tears colorway on my blitzed base, which I'm not sure if you can see, but there's some gold stellina in there. And yeah, I am so happy with the way these knit up, you guys. These were my socks that I brought along with me to the Edinburgh Yarn Festival to knit on, and I finished them on Easter, driving up to my aunt's house, which I'll talk a little bit later in the blather segment. But yeah, I finished it as car knitting, and I cannot be more happy with these. They are, I will admit, they're flawed in some endearing ways, if that makes any sense, because I did leave in some mistakes that I made while knitting on them in Edinburgh, but they just remind me of all these really amazing conversations that I had while I was there hanging out with friends, and they don't bother me at all. In fact, they bring me much joy and happiness, so happy to see those mistakes every time I see them. But and I will admit that the legs aren't entirely even, but you know what? I really don't care, because these are my Edinburgh socks. That's what they remind me of. Happy, good times, happy memories. That's where I am with that. Oh, they're actually, wow, I don't know. They're pretty on point, actually. Oh, the toe, the foot, for some reason, one is a little longer than the other, but I'm not gonna beat myself up over it. So yeah, and these are my Bryson sock blockers that I purchased, I believe, from Jimmy Bean's Wool. They're not my favorites, but they do the job. I just find that whenever, compared to the wooden sock blockers that I have, which I think they're over there somewhere, but anyway, compared to the wooden sock blockers that I have, these don't really conform to the sock very well. In fact, when I block socks, these are not blocked, by the way. I did not have time to block them yet. But whenever I find that I block socks on these, they kind of, the fabric kind of sags down. Not that that's a big deal, but anyway, I just kind of like my socks to lie flush? No. I like my sock fabric to just lie flush along a surface. I don't know. My own personal brand of crazy, but yeah. Bryson sock blockers, in case you're curious. They're handy in that they hang up, and they're like wire hangers. Personal preference. Anyway, but yay, Dragon Tear socks done. They're just 2x2 ribbing, cuff down, fish lips kiss heel, grafted toe socks. And that's the type of sock that I like knitting these days. So there you have it. And then the other elephant in the room, the green elephant this time, I guess, or Kermit the Frog, however you want to look at it. I finished my Threipmuir. This is a wonderful pattern by the lovely and amazing Isolde Teague. I cast this on, I want to say, end of December, early January, and I'm very happy with the way it turned out. It's a top-down yoke colorwork sweater jumper, and it's knit out of Jamieson and Smith 2-ply jumper weight yarn, and this teal bit right here is Jamieson Spindrift, so the two can be used interchangeably. Very, very happy with the way this turned out. I blocked it, it fits perfectly, and yeah, the sleeves aren't as long as I normally like my sleeves, but you know what, it's fine. I can easily just pull them over and cover my knuckles. It's no big deal. It's super cozy. It's lofty, as the yarn is known to be. And I'm trying to think what else I want to say about this. I guess I'll stand up so you can see the body. Yeah, just a sea of stockinette, no shaping whatsoever. I think if I were to knit this again, I would add a little bit of shaping just because I like that, but this is just a really nice cozy pullover that, you know, I can just chuck on in the morning or evening and stay toasty warm. It is green, and I know a lot of you commented on this last week how the green complements my eyes. I love that too. Honestly, like I never knew how green my eyes actually were until I started wearing this type of shade of green. It definitely makes them pop in a way. So I'm very happy about that. But at the same time, I can't help but feeling a little like Kermit the Frog. I don't know, I love the neckline. I think the neckline is absolutely beautiful. The yoke, the colorwork yoke design, it's absolutely beautiful, and I love the sweater. But combined with the green, I kind of feel a little bit like Kermit the Frog. Maybe it's my own personal brand of crazy, but otherwise I just absolutely love this sweater. It's awesome. So, and as I mentioned last week, I was a little concerned about the ribbing on the neckline. It's a little higher than what I'm used to, but it blocked out beautifully. It lies flat against my neck. And yeah, I just basically spent the morning weaving in all my ends, which is something that I really don't mind doing. I actually find it meditative to weave in ends. Is that nuts? Crazy? I don't know. Just like there are people who find pleasure in detangling yarn, I find pleasure in weaving. Well, I don't find pleasure in it. It's just something that my OCD I need to do, and I just see it as something, and the next step, as you know, you block something and then you just weave in the ends. You put on a podcast, listen to an audiobook, and weave in your ends. I don't know, but it's done and I love it. I love it. Yeah, so sweater 2 of 2018, on to the next. And I guess I will chat a little bit about the next sweaters that I plan on casting on. As by the way, I'm drinking some David's tea in my A Court of Feels and Fangirling, which is an ACOTAR, A Court of Thorns and Roses reference, if you're not familiar, but my favorite book series at the moment that I'm perpetually obsessed with. But yeah, I had to get this mug because, yeah, A Court of Feels and Fangirling, that's what it's all about. I'm drinking Frozen Raspberry by David's Tea, which my friend Nina of the This Old Knit podcast gifted to me. I think there's like a Christmas swap that we did, but oh my gosh, you guys, this flavor is amazing. Anyway, back to the knitting. Okay, so as for the next sweater that I plan on knitting is another Isolde Teague pattern, which is her new, it's actually a newish pattern that she just came out with called Stockbridge. And I'll post a photo of it here, but it's a very simple cardigan pattern. It's like a no frills cardigan pattern, just button down, and very simple, a wardrobe staple as the pattern suggests. And it was knit out of tuku wool, and when I went to the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, I was looking for sweater quantities, and I just saw a wall at the Isolde. Well, again, you cannot call her stall a stall. It was actually a room of all things Isolde from her shop, and there was a wall of tuku wool, and nestled in the little hooks that had the yarn was her Stockbridge pattern. And I was just like, I put two and two together. I'm like, I like that pattern. I like the yarn. Let's knit a cardigan. So I started swatching, and I'm still in swatch mode. I think I showed this to you last week, but yeah, this is what the pattern looks like. This is their Uho color, which, no surprise, is mauve. My wardrobe is desperate for a mauve cardigan, so you know, it's only appropriate. I'm not sure if I'm probably gonna have to go down a needle size, because the pattern calls for a size US 3.25 millimeter needle, and just looking at it right now, it seems a bit holy, if that makes any sense. It seems like my gauge seems a bit loose with this one, so I have a feeling I'm gonna have to go down a needle size at least. So we'll see where that goes. But the funny thing is, I was actually looking on Etsy for some really pretty vintage buttons to go with this, because I wanted it to be a special cardigan. Special cardigans call for special buttons. like you do. So, but yeah, what I didn't realize, I'm so sorry, I'm blanking on your name, but I believe it's Melissa. I could be wrong. I'll pop it all in the down bar. But while I was walking around the marketplace at the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, Melissa came up to me, introduced herself, and it was so lovely meeting you. And again, I apologize if I got your name wrong, but she is actually from Textile Garden, and here is her postcard. But she specializes in buttons and other notions for sewing and knitting and what have you. So I remember that I was gifted those buttons, and I just, you know, I was like, wait, let me take a look at those and see if I could maybe use those. And my jaw dropped when I looked at them, because I was like, why didn't I think of these first? Because not only are they the perfect size for the cardigan, but they have hints of mauve in them too. I don't know if you can see that, but I mean, how perfect are these for the Stockbridge cardigan? And they're almost, someone actually said that I posted about this on Instagram, and somebody said they look like owl faces, and I totally see that. But yeah, they have like a slight pearlescence or iridescence to them. And I believe these are hand carved. Don't totally know, but they almost seem like mother of pearl, like the back of them is definitely, this is the back side of the buttons, and they're almost like carved out of shell, I believe. But not only are they really beautiful, they're super special, and they go completely perfectly with this yarn. I mean, you could not make a better match. I don't know. I'm still gushing over this because it's just, what are the odds? It's gonna be a really awesome Edinburgh inspired cardigan, and yeah, just, oh my gosh, yeah. Super stoked about that. So yay, that's where I am with that. And so anyway, thank you so much again, Melissa, and I will pop a link to her Etsy shop, or her website, I should say, in the show notes in case any of you want to get your mitts on some of her beautiful buttons. So I also have a new cast on, and living in my my Swan drawstring project bag that I whipped up, is the Curious Handmade Impressionist Mystery Knit Along. So I don't want to show, because it's still early on, Clue 2 has still not yet been released, so I won't even show it on the podcast yet. I will show it off next week when I feel like a lot of people are caught up with Clue 1. But I am using my hand-dyed yarn, the yarn that I dyed for the kits that I dyed specifically for the Mystery Knit Along for Helen. And here are the two colorways that I'm using right now. So this is Solstice, this is color A, and then color B is Curious. So it's this really nice kind of mauvey, raspberry, speckled, little like subtle pops of teal in there, and brown and raspberry, and yeah, so really loving the way it's going so far, loving the way these colors are playing together, and I cannot wait for Clue 2. I'm halfway done with Clue 1, so so far it's been pretty mindless, enjoyable knitting. And in case you're curious about what color 3 is going to be, this is the third colorway in the kit. So this is my Thaw colorway, Thaw as in snow melting, snow, it was kind of a homage to her last Mystery Knit Along, where it was called the Snow Melt Knit Along. So I just decided to name this one Thaw as kind of like a little homage to that, or a nod to that, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I have not caked up the skein yet, so I'm just waiting to get to that point in the pattern. But yes, in case you are curious, last week was supposed to be the last week that I was doing updates for kits, and then I was going to release the colors from the kit individually. I'll talk more about this in shop update, but I will be doing one more round of kits of Solstice, Curious, and Thaw for the Mystery Knit Along, in case there are any late adopters to the Mystery Knit Along. That is pretty much it for finished objects, works in progress. I don't have any sewing to share with you this week, sadly. I'm hoping to get some more sewing done this weekend, and some more weaving. I guess finished object. Last week in Rabbit Holes, a new segment where I chat about what I'm weaving, because right now the rabbit hole that I've currently fallen down is weaving, apparently. As I mentioned last week, my mother-in-law had gifted me a what is it, an Ashford Samplet 10-inch weaving loom. So it's just a really small, I don't have it with me here, but it's a table loom. Really handy, really portable, and I decided to take another crack at it, and I finished weaving a scarf. So here's the finished scarf. It's gingham. I intended it for it to be houndstooth, but I didn't warp it the right way. But here it is. It is not without its flaws. Like here you can see is where I started weaving and then finally got a good tension going, or what do you call it, a beading. It's called beading when you push the strand of yarn down towards the woven part of the fabric. I'm still learning again, so I don't have all the lingo down entirely, so forgive me, all you much experienced weavers out there. But yeah, so you can tell I got a good rhythm going over here. Finally got my act together and then did a little fringe tassellating action at the end. So I'm proud of myself, not entirely bad for a first weaving project. However, I will admit, like, the one downside to weaving is that you do put a lot of work into warping it. So that takes about an hour. But I feel like once it's warped, it's warped. There's no turning back. While there are certain things that you can do to fix mistakes after you've warped the entire loom, once you've actually started weaving and you notice a mistake, it's kind of hard to fix those mistakes. And that's one thing that I'm not too crazy about, because I did start weaving a new project. My 12.5 reed came, which is appropriate for mainly fingering weight and lace weight yarn, arrived last weekend, and I did warp it, and then I realized I made a mistake and couldn't really go back. And unfortunately, it's just warped, and anyway, again, still learning, and I probably should have been following a pattern, but I wasn't. I was just kind of improvising. Live and you learn. But anyway, yeah, so anyway, it's still an adventure. Again, I'm not in love with it yet. I'm having fun with it right now. And yeah, I really want to just use it to make quick projects, quick gifts, and bust through some stash that I don't intend on knitting with specifically. So yeah, again, more on that next week. Hopefully I'll have some more progress on that to share with you. So that is pretty much it for what I've been working on this week. I do have some naughty stash enhancements to share with you, because clearly Edinburgh Yarn Festival was not enough. So while I was at Edinburgh Yarn Festival, I was looking for sweater quantities, especially for Ellie, who is Skein-Deer. She just released her Blowfail sweater. I realized that I wanted to use Fino Garn, which is by Ravelry. And while Isolde had a lot of it at her shop in Edinburgh, again, there was just so much to take in, and it was a little overwhelming. When I was home, I was finally able to sit down and check out her shop, and I realized while there are retailers in the United States that sell Fino Garn, it's actually still cheaper with shipping to order from the UK, or Isolde's shop where I purchased my yarn from. So I don't know how that works out. I think because there's a middleman involved with importing, and anyway, it turned out to be a lot cheaper for me to just order from Isolde's shop. So just a little FYI tip, I don't know, but yeah, I settled on some, you will not be surprised, some typical yarn choices or color choices. Are you not surprised? This skein right here I actually purchased at Vogue Knitting Live. I got one skein of it. It's mauve. No surprise, it's more of like a dusty lilac if anything, but yeah, it's Fino Garn Rauma, and it's, I believe the color is 487. Again, I'll put this all in the show notes in case you want to know, but yeah, it's like a really nice dusty lilac mauve. And then for the main body is kind of like this charcoal, it's not heathered, it's a solid kind of charcoal gray, and that is color 4387. So there's that. And then for again, the yoke, it's kind of like this off-white color. It's 0401. So yay! I'm currently swatching for this as well. So you know, right now I'm just swatching for my next projects. So yeah, I'm gonna knit the Blowfail, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm sorry, Ellie, if I'm mispronouncing that. So that sweater and then the Stockbridge are next on the docket. Although I did promise Dennis I was going to knit him a sweater. I purchased the yarn for that. I purchased some Let Lopi to knit Diana Walla's, another Norwegian word I cannot pronounce. So I put that all in the down bar. But yeah, that's gonna be another sweater, but I feel like the weather's getting so warm. There's no point in me knitting something out of Let Lopi right now. I might wait till the fall to cast that on. Yeah, but by golly, Dennis is gonna get a sweater this year for me. So anyway, more on that later, but yay, new sweater quantity of that. And then one night, I think it was, I may have had a glass or two of wine and I caught wind of Amy from Surrender Dye Works. She had an update. And you know how those nights go sometimes after you've had a long day. And I stalked her website and I treated myself to these guys. They were just so beautiful and I just could not resist. I have no idea what they're gonna be. They're the same color, but it's Amy's, it's Stranded Dye Works on her solo base, which is a single ply merino. In her, what colorway is this? Oh, Meddlesome. So it's a one of a kind. And then here's the same colorway, Meddlesome, on her drift base. So this is 72% kid mohair and 28% silk. The two wanted to be together, so yeah, I could not resist. So anyway, thank you so much, Amy. These are super beautiful, and you should totally go check out Amy of Stranded Dye Works yarn shop and her podcast because she's just so awesome, so wonderful, and I wish we didn't live so far away from each other. So that is it for stash enhancements. I am gonna move along to shop update because I have some exciting stuff to chat about regarding the shop. So let me go get the yarn that will be in Friday's update. Okay, so tomorrow, Friday, April 6th, I will be having a shop update at 7 p.m. Eastern time. I hope you can make it. It'll be over at www.voolenvineyarns.com. And yes, as I mentioned at the top of the episode, I will be dyeing some more kits. This will be the last week that I dye kits for the Curious Handmade Impressionists Mystery Knit Along by Helen Stewart. So as I mentioned, last week was going to be the last week, but there was such demand for it that I decided to do one more round. So I hope you're able to come away with a kit if you were hoping to get one last week but didn't. But you will still have a chance to get your hands on the colorways because I will be releasing the colorways as individual skeins in the shop in the coming weeks. So definitely check that out in future updates. So I'll pop a photo of the colorways in that kit in case you're curious. But yeah, I will have Solstice, which is the white natural speckled color, and then there's Curious, the mauve speckled colorway, and then Thaw, which is the purplish blue speckled colorway. So as far as other colorways are concerned, I will be having some more Dragon Tears in the shop. That came in high demand. I will have some more Edinburgh in stock. So this is my Edinburgh inspired colorway. Here it is on Nouveau, my single ply merino base, and Blitzed, my gold stellina soft base. Then I will have some Dirty on Purpose, which also came highly requested. It's also a really good neutral. And then I dyed up a Strange Brew. So Strange Brews are one-of-a-kind colorways. They will never be repeated. I do not write down the formula for these, so truly one of a kind. But here is Torch. So, and I do put a little sticker on them that says Strange Brew, so you know that they are, in fact, a Strange Brew. So yeah, it's kind of like this really bright, shocking red with hints of purple and orange speckles and just really fun, wild, crazy color, basically. Speaking of Strange Brews, I thought it was high time for me to announce another sock club, or yarn club, I should say. So it's been a while, and I thought I would just do a Strange Brew themed yarn clubs. So signups for those will go on sale this Tuesday, April 10th at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So I'll pop all that info in the down bar. Spots are limited. Again, I only dye as many subscriptions as I can humanly manage as one person. So, but subscriptions are quite abundant, so I hope you can make it. And what else did I want to say about that? Yes, it's going to be a 3-month yarn club. So it's going to go from May 2018 all the way through July of 2018. So each skein is a surprise. You will not know what colorway you're getting. It's very mysterious. So if you are into that thing, then this yarn club is for you. So yeah, it should be a lot of fun because you guys, I have so much fun dyeing up strange brews. It just gives me a chance to play and experiment with colors I normally wouldn't play with, and like the results are really fun. So you know, if you are into that, definitely sign up for the yarn club this Tuesday. So there's that. And yes, I did post a blog about it on the website. So if you're curious about shipping costs and other details regarding the club, definitely hop on over there to check that out. So that's it. I am gonna move along to Blather, where I chat about what's been happening in my life, should you care to stick around. If not, I will see you next week. Happy knitting and the like. So yeah, what's been going on in my life? Well, let me first have a chug of tea. Okay, so last week we did taxes, Dennis and I. That was not fun, I'm not gonna lie. It was boring and mentally painful. I am not good with numbers. It just, numbers frustrate me beyond belief, you guys. So yeah, but it wasn't bad. We basically spent 4.5 hours with our tax guy on a Saturday. It was no bueno. So yeah, we still have to go through a couple of things and revise certain things, which is just annoying as heck. But yeah, thumbs the brakes. You gotta do taxes. So that's what's been on our agenda these past couple of days. In other news, last Sunday we got together with my aunt, my uncle, and my cousins, and it was just really fun. We rarely get to see them, and my aunt and uncle, who are in their 80s, they had just moved house from Brooklyn to move in with their daughter and her family out in Long Island. So this is our first time visiting their new house, and it's absolutely beautiful. They definitely have a really nice setup. They're still getting used to it. You know, they've been living at the same house in Brooklyn for, I have no idea how long, but way before I was born. I think like, I want to say 40 years or something. It was a long time. So I will say it was a little surreal seeing the furniture from, like, they have stuff from the 60s and, you know, lots of retro furniture like that I'm so used to seeing in that house, suddenly transplanted into their new house. And you can probably imagine what that's like. So, but their new house is really beautiful, and so excited for them. And yeah, it was just really fun getting to see them and catch up, and there was a lot of food. My aunt made, well, she's German and her husband's Italian, so she makes really good Italian food. She made meatballs, sausages, lasagna, there was even a ham. So lots of food to be had. There was lots of chocolate, lots of Easter bunnies happening. Yeah, my little cousin, it was great to see her. She's getting so big. She's about 9 or 10 now, so yeah, it's just insane. So yeah, it was really good getting to see them. And I'm trying to think what else. I wish there was something more exciting I had to share with you, but honestly, it's been pretty much business as usual here on the Western Front. So yeah, I finished my sweater. That's what I'm very excited about. I think I'm gonna leave it there. So it's been a long week. I still have a lot of work to catch up on. Some kits to dye, some more yarn to dye, and it just never ends. It's a vicious cycle which cannot be broken. So anyway, I will leave it there. You know, hoping to get a lot of knitting and sewing done this weekend, some more weaving, and hopefully I'll have some more to chat about with you next week about that. So anyway, again, I will leave it there. Happy knitting, and I will see you next time. Bye.